Participants have joined, Sulaiman?
Yes, madam. Yes.
Okay, fine. So, good afternoon, one and all. I welcome you all to the fourth day of Faculty Development Program on Basics of Research Procedures and Publication. To start with, I invite Miss Nazmeen to recite few verses from the Holy Quran. Nazmeen.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين.
Thank you, Nazmeen. I deem it my privilege to welcome and introduce today's resource person, Dr. C.S. Dalvi. Dr. C.S. Dalvi has 23 years of teaching and research experience and 7 years of industrial experience in the area of production and marketing. He has been teaching courses such as marketing management, research methodology, marketing research, management of cooperative undertakings. His research area is marketing, social marketing, retailing, consumer behavior. He has guided 32 MPhil and 5 PhD students. He has published 44 research papers in national and international journals. He has presented research papers in more than 30 national and international conferences. Sir has been invited as resource person for more than 30 national and international conferences and workshops. Sir has attended and participated more than 34 conferences and workshops. He has organized 8 conferences and workshops and worked on 3 minor research projects which were sponsored by UGC and ICSSR. Sir has worked as rector Cyber Boys for 14 years. Sir has also shouldered the responsibility as chairman of Cultural Committee, Admission Committee, Anti-Ragging Committee, and worked as a MBA coordinator. Presently, he is serving as member of Academic Council, Cultural Committee, Admission Committee, Lapses Committee, Ad hoc Committee, Research Review Committee, Library Committee, Research Advisory Committee. He is the chairman of BS Marketing, BOS General Management, RUSA Coordinator, and IGNOU Study Center Coordinator. Recently, Sir has coordinated flood relief initiative under C Cyber Cares banner. 1,500 flood-affected students in Kolhapur and Sangli district were supported with school kit under the initiative. In 2018, IGNOU Study Center was awarded with Best Study Center Award. In 2018 too, he presented the Institute Plan to RUSA 2.0, where the institute was awarded with rupees 5 crore grant for enhancing quality and excellence. I, on behalf of Anjuman Management College staff and all the invitees, all the research scholars and academicians participating in the faculty development program, heartily welcome you, sir. Over to you now, sir. Sir, you can start.
Thank you very much for my introduction. So all the participants are, they can hear me, no? I am audible now?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Okay.
Sir, to make you familiar, the participants are unable to interact as we have given them the link of YouTube. So whatever questions they have on YouTube, I will be conveying it to you, sir.
Fine. So I'll start my session.
Yes, sir. Definitely.
Yeah. So good afternoon to all of you. Today we are going to look at the basic of the research, and that is a fundamental of the research is called as a research design. There is always a confusion in the minds of the researcher or research student, and they write a research methodology, research design. Even in the first chapter, many researcher, they write introduction and the research design. And actually, research design concepts are not explained in the first chapter. So my request to all the researchers, whenever you write first chapter, it can be a introduction and the research methodology. Research methodology is a broader concept, while the research design is one of the concepts of the research methodology. Now, if we divide this research design into two aspects, that is, one is a research and second is a design. And why are we calling as a design? Friends, if you look at the word as a design, design means a scientific planned approach to something. It may be a architect, it may be a building design, it may be a vehicle design. So without a design, we cannot proceed further. So when design is in front of us, we know what we are going to achieve and we can work accordingly if a pursued design is in front of us. Same way, we are expecting similar kind of a concept in our research process. So this research design gives you outline of the research process. So what are the different things we should consider under this research design? One, what is the need of this research design? It will help us to calculate the time and period required for our research. It will facilitate to collect the required data and its collection using various collection techniques. It will also help us in understanding the what type of data is available for our study. It will also help us to know, identify where are we going to conduct our research and what are the different techniques required for the analyzing data and finally report writing. Let us see why we are interested in this research design. See, research is not a one-day activity. It may take 1 year or 2 year or 3 years also. So during this 1 or 2 years of activity, two things are with us. One is a time and second is a money. And definitely time and money is not unlimited. So if we put time into money, so money is not unlimited and we cannot extend the research for a long period of time because a cost of research will goes on increasing. This is very important in a business organization. When we think of applications of the research, every organizations have research and development, whether it is a pharmaceutical industry or whether it is a commerce industry, whether it is a computer or IT related industry like a TCS or Infosys also. They spend 5 to 10% or 15% of their budget on the research, and they are always expecting a good output from the research activity. As a researcher, as an academician, when we are carrying out this particular research, we are not giving critical importance to this aspect like a time and money. But in a application oriented, we need to think of time and money, and we need to know what are the different activities which are need to be conducted, one effectively as well as efficiently, so that there will be minimum wastage of time, money and manpower. When we are conducting a research, amount of time we are, our own time, or there is field investigator time which we are using, that is also need to be considered in case of a cost of research. If you go to the one of the book by G.C. Berry, in a third lesson of this G.C. Berry, which talks about value of information, how much money we are going to spend on that research. Suppose say 1 lakh rupees or 10 lakh rupees, and we are going to collect the information. What is the use of this information? The information collected from the research will help you to take a decision. Any research has always an output, and that output is in terms of a decision making, in terms of some model development. So this design will help you in understanding the utilization of time, money, and the manpower. It will help us in deployment of right stuff. If the research is quite big enough and it require 1 year, 2 year, 3 year period of time, in which people we should appoint as a field investigator, and what kind of authority we should provide to them so that a correct information can be collected. Design will also help us to minimize the errors. This is one of the very important word, error. You can collect any kind of information and carry out analysis, and you can come out with the interference, etc. However, whether that information collected and output which has come out is really useful for the organization, is really aligned with the population from which we have drawn this information. If it is not aligned, then it is called as an error. So errors can be identified, and we can reduce this error or rectify this error when, as and when these occur, when we go ahead. So research design is the process which will help you organize your all the activities in a perfect, in a logical manner. What is to be done right now, what is to be done after 1 month, so you can put your time schedule for 1 year. So when is the secondary data to be collected, and how the secondary data can be collected, how primary data can be collected. So all this processes, all the activities in the research process can be written formally with the help of research design. So this is a need of design. Why we require a research design? How your research design should be, then these are the four aspects. Research design should be flexible. It should be appropriate to the problem which you have taken in. It must be efficient, cost effective. It must be effective in the sense whatever tool which you are using, it must be able to collect the information, and economical in nature. As a researcher, there should not be any bias towards the problem, and hence there should be minimum bias and maximum reliability of the data which we collect. If we collect a data without a bias and maximum reliability, then information which you draw, inferences which we draw from the information, then definitely it is going to be the useful. And finally, it gives you higher value of information. It gives you opportunity for considering many different aspects of problem. So we must able to understand the problem from the various angles, various variables. So by understanding the need of the research design and what should how a particular research design we should have, then we will go to the next aspect, that is a what is a research design? What are the different types of research designs which are available in the research area, and which research design we should use for our study. So let us look at this research design. There are basically three types of research designs. Friends, when you are writing your synopsis or a first lesson, we must include this word called as a research design, and that should come before the collection of a data. Okay. Once we complete this, our today's topic, you will understand how we can put this research design without skipping. If we go ahead, then the study may not be proper. So let us see one by one what is this particular kind of design, and whether are we going to use all three types of research designs, or are we going to use one kind of a research design. That doubt will get clear at the end of this particular session. First one is a exploratory research. Okay. The word itself, exploratory, word is a exploratory. You must have come across a word explore. What is this word explore means? Let us see the characteristics and the things, the design will get clear. This is based on a secondary data. We are, so I'll give you an example before I explain this one. All of you may go for many different picnic spots or pilgrim spots, or maybe like a forest. When we go to a particular a place, suppose we here from here we go to say uh, a Kashmir. Are we aware about a Kashmir? Yes, we know Kashmir is a good place to move around. It's a good tourist place. So we have read about a Kashmir, the different places like a Pahalgam, okay, or a Gulberg, etc. But once we reach there, then on a day one, we go to the Gulmarg. We visit the different places. We visit the mountains. We visit the glaciers. We visit the Pahalgam. We visit n number of places during our visit to Kashmir. Okay. Now, on the first day, you are not aware or you do not know much about Kashmir. You have little information about Kashmir. At the end of a 10th day, your tour is over. And when you come back to your own place, and then you talk to your friends, what is there in the Kashmir? What did we do on the first day, second day? Where did we visit? Like we visited to different places, Dal Lake, Pahalgam, Gulmarg, and you are explaining the visit to many your friends and relatives. Now look at yourself. What was the situation on a first day about the topic Kashmir, and what is the situation after a 10 day? Is there a difference of or amount of information which was available with you on first day and 10th day? Then definitely the lot of information is available with you after 10 day because you have carried out the exploration. You have carried out the exploration. So similarly, in a case of research, you have identified a particular topic. It may be a, say, cyber security topic, it may be a e-commerce topic, it may be the social problems or the socio-economic problems of the people of the different income. So you are aware about a certain aspect of the problem which you have identified, which is there in your mind. You are little aware about it, but you are not aware about the in depth, and we want to study. And before we study, we should know what is this particular problem, and that is nothing but the exploration of the problem using the secondary data which is available with us. How do we study? There is no formal and rigid design. We may read this information from the internet, from the articles, from the books, and we improve our own information regarding the particular topic. Why do we go for this? It is a primary objective of this exploratory research is a preliminary investigation, identifying. It is a carrying out the preliminary investigation. In this case, we have sufficient freedom to the respondent. But what to read, what not to read, it is up to you. Once you start reading one article, second article, then lot of information starts going and getting analyzed in your brain. And then you will understand, yes, should I use this article 1? Should I use the article number 2? Should I use this statistical data which is available on this website number 1? When you look at the secondary data, and especially in the era of internet, a huge information or the billions of pages are available in front of you. Whether that particular information is relevant to you or not, it is your judgment. You have to understand, and that's why it is a preliminary investigation you have to carry out, whether information which you are reading through the article, books, data, internet, etc., is related to your topic or not, and hence we call it as a preliminary investigation, and we have sufficient freedom for us as a respondent. We are as a respondent is if we are carrying out this information, we can ask this also to the people around, right? Suppose when we are going to the particular place, we can ask any questions: what, when, why, where, and try to get information whether they're understanding the nature of that particular problem. Okay. So question comes here now: do we require to use exploratory design in our studies? Then answer is definitely yes. Friends, when you select a problem, you develop your synopsis, directly do not jump to the conclusion of preparing a questionnaire and start preparing a questionnaire. Reason, we are not accustomed to the particular problem. We are not aware about the problem in our hand. In order to give us justice to the research, it is very important to understand what is this problem, what is the scope of this particular problem, what are the different variables. And to prepare a questionnaire or to going for a causal designs, we need certain variables. Okay, we need certain aspects of the problem. So these aspects of the problems are nothing but the variables. And how do we get this variable? We get this variable only by going through the secondary data, going through the different articles, going through this exploratory design. So, second chapter, when we write in our thesis, in our dissertation, is a review of literature. What is this review of literature? That in order to make our research scientific, we need to know how much work is already done. What are the different aspects of the same problem which you are talking about, which you are handling? How much work has been done? Up to what extent? So that we will be get enlightened. Our work is not to do the same work the other people have done it. We need to go further. As we are aware, research is not doing exploring what the others have done it and reproducing it in the same format, similar another format. It is like a old wine in a new bottle. No, what they have done it, and we want to go further. That's why we go with the exploratory designs. Let us go to the second design called as a descriptive. So exploratory design will give you the insight about the problem, understanding of the problem, different you should write different variables. So in a simple language, you write your problem on a piece of paper and just go on jotting down what are the different aspect of this problem, like microeconomic aspects or macroeconomic aspect, demographic aspects or the social aspect, cultural aspects, economic aspect, political aspects, legal aspects, financial aspects, all kinds of aspects you should write on a piece of paper. It is something like a center, and we have a center is nothing but problem, and about the circle, the center, about the center of the problem, you have a n number of variables written by you with the help of exploratory design. And these exploratory design variables, which this page which you have developed, will help you in understanding and developing second type of design called as a descriptive design or a descriptive studies. Let us go to the second aspect called as a descriptive studies. Now this your descriptive studies is basically we are focusing on the accurate description of the variables in the problem model, the paper which you have developed. So word accurate description, variable we have identified and we are now going to describe these variables. What is this study? So using this variable, we are now going to carry out the study. On whom? We are carrying out the study on a group of society who have behaved in a particular manner, which we are going to call as a population, out from which we are going to draw a sample. So that sample, that population is nothing but our group of society who have behaved in a particular manner. So how do if somebody is doing a study on the says e-commerce, so which payment options they are using it, which e-commerce shopping they are using it, are they using a Flipkart? Why are they using a Flipkart? Why are they using Amazon? Which product do they buy? How do they compare the product? What kind of product they purchase? So this is a behavior. So it is a behavior of the customers, behavior of the people, whether it is a commerce area, whether it is a social area, we are interested in understanding, collecting information from the respondents from the population, which we call as a group of society who have behaved in a particular manner. What are the characteristics of these descriptive studies? Descriptive study is nothing but, as I said, is a collection of information from the society using certain variables. It depends upon the type of research you have taken. So if the says at a school level, information is to be collected regarding the say type of uh, health or water problems in the your area. So student will go and ask whether do you have water or are you facing any water problem? From where do you collect consume water? Are you using the same water for a drinking purpose? Or how much money you spend on the drinking? So similar like a 5 to 6 question related to the water, drinking water are asked. Very simple. And at a psychological test, suppose we ask the question to the people, where do you purchase your product at a local market? Which product do you purchase at a shopping malls? Which product do you purchase at online? How much you spend and why do you spend? We are trying to understand the psychological behavior of these people or the consumer, which is called can be considered as a more complex, simple to complex, and using factual is a is descriptive studies are basically based on the facts. What is facts? Facts which are happening or factual things which are happening in the life of the respondents. Number of times it also demand high degree of scientific skill on the part of researcher. reason, if we go on calculating, getting the information, then there may be certain questions which may be repeated. The questions may, which we are asking may not be relevant, and the questionnaire can go up to 100 and 150 questions. So we have to be very careful in putting the questions, whether this particular question will solve my objective number one, which questions will complete my objective number two, objective number three, and whether this really will be useful as a development of a model. So that's why we consider as a high degree of scientific skill. Say when we are carrying out our analysis, we may be using a simple averages, mean mode, median. This is very simple, percentages. But we may go also further, going for the regression models. We may go for the factor analysis, conjoint analysis, multivariate analysis, and there we require a lot of scientific skill while developing these descriptive designs. These descriptive designs are basically well structured. So using the exploratory design, we have collected the information, but now we have to be very careful, and hence it is basically a well structured questionnaire. Is a well structured. It is a rigid because we want to collect the information from the number of respondents, hundreds and thousands of respondents in the and same questions we need to ask to the all the people. So before we go into the market with a questionnaire, structured questionnaire, it should be well tested. All the information, word, type of question, its sequence, everything has to be done well in advance, because we are not going to change the questionnaire once we enter into the collection process. So it is a rigid. It should not be changed as and when. It should not be moved, changed from one respondent to another. So deep thought has to be given before development of the a question. We should be very careful and care at every stage of development of this questionnaire. Otherwise, data which we collect from the questionnaire may be inadequate, and we cannot go back and carry out again, say, two times collection of information. No way. So it is a one-time procedure, no reversal, no comeback. So we have to spend more time in development of this questionnaire, structured questionnaire, testing of the questionnaire in the under the descriptive design, because this is a very expensive process. See, under exploratory study, you may spend time in going through the say exploring the various websites, searching the websites, collecting the information, copy paste, putting into the say pen drive, or making the xerox. It may be some few thousands, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 rupees. But once we make the questionnaire and thousand number of respondents to be collected, simple, if one questionnaire is developed of say 10 pages into 1,000, amount of money has gone. Second, editing of the questionnaire, and putting this person into the job as an invigilator, field supervisor. He is spending almost 30 minutes, 1 hour, 2 hour in getting the right person. We may be paying for him, and approximately, if it is other than a local person, the cost of collecting the one information from the one respondent is around, must be maybe around 250 to 300 rupees, and he has to spend 1 hour, 2 hour. So 5 to 6, 7 questionnaires he is collecting. So we are paying him 1,000 to 1,500 rupees plus daily allowances plus traveling allowances. Okay. So look, it goes into the, so if we when we prepare our minor research projects or major research projects, thousands and 50,000, 70,000, 80,000 rupees we are spending in field investigation. Major component of the minor research is the collection of information. Analysis, data analysis and interpretation is your own work. You are sitting in front of the computer and doing it. But 60% of the money goes into this descriptive studies. So that's why it is a extra care. It is a very crucial stage. It is a tedious, and we have to spend time in collecting the right information. Just I'll take a water. These descriptive studies are divided into two types. One is called as a cross-sectional studies, and second is called as a longitudinal studies. Let us see one by one. What is a cross-sectional studies? As mentioned in the beginning, it is a study of the people. Now, these people is divided into different sections. For example, like lower income group, middle income group, and higher income group. So our a study into three sections, cross section 1, 2, 3, or education wise, literate people, educated people, people in the rural area, people in the urban area, people who are spending 20,000 rupees, people who are spending less than 20,000 rupees. So a population divided into different sections, and the different section is a of the population is a cross section. That's why it's called as a cross section studies. These cross sectional studies are divided into two categories. One is called as a field studies, and second is called as a field surveys. What is a field studies? Now, field studies is really what is happening in the market, in the life of the people. Say, taken an example, those who are doing a studies on the, say, retail business or online shopping. So what the people are doing at a real life? How much money they are spending, which product they are buying from the mall, which product they are buying from the nearby shops. This is a close to real life. which product they are buying from the on the online shopping, whether they are using Flipkart or Amazon or Myntra or Shopify or Misho. This information we are collecting from the people from their own real life. So it is a field studies. It is more socially significant because it is related to the people. It is related to their behavior. It is related to their taste and preferences, attitudes and opinion. So it is related to the people. When we carry out the in-depth studies, it will lead to the more questions. When we study this, when you have taken a particular problem in your hand and when you carry out, you have developed your questionnaire. But when you consider the talk to the people, when you discuss with the people, other than your field questionnaire, you will come across many problems which you have never thought about it, and that will help you in writing a last paragraph of your thesis or dissertation. What is the last paragraph? Future scope of the research. No research is complete. No research is 100% finished. There is always a scope for the further research, and that's why it's called as a leads to a new questions, and maybe you may have, take these new questions at a later stage, or somebody can take these new questions at their research level. However, these field studies inferior to laboratory and field experiments. Okay. If we carry out this questionnaire, just talking to them, sending them, and filling up the information, there is a slight inferiority we consider is inferior to laboratory and field experiment. Third aspect which we are calling out, causal. So here information collected by the researcher using the structured questionnaire and information given by the respondent by the people, we assume it is a 100% correct, but there is a chance that there may be something else which need to be explained only with the help of laboratory or field experiments. A second is a field survey. Difference between the field studies and the field surveys. In the field surveys, you go with your instrument, your tool technique, like a questionnaire. While in the case of field survey, it is a post facto study. The situation, the phenomena, activity is already happened. So it is a investigation of the researcher after the incident has happened. Very simple example is police investigation. Police investigation falls under this study called as a field survey. And the word here which you are mentioning is called as a post facto studies. The study is to be conducted for those situations where it has already happened. What are the different areas where we can carry out this field survey? Okay. we look for like a domestic social problem. Respondent, is there any problem which you are facing at your home? You fill up the questionnaire and you may not get right answer. There, the field survey help us in understanding, in observing the things. If we ask the people, do you drink hot drinks? दारू पीते हैं क्या? So nobody will tell you directly, yes, मैं पीता हूँ. Nobody is interested in saying yes. In this case, field survey, in understanding the person going to the pub, going to the bars, number of bottles lying in their dustbins, will help whether the person is really drinking or not. So this is a slightly complex. So it is a challenge in front of the police officers investigation. How this particular incident, the theft has occurred, the murder has occurred, or particular situation has occurred. And they are trying to collect the incidences, evidences. Okay. Here, number of subjects. The person is whom to be contacted is not fixed. Based on the information, a primary investigation, we may come out with another respondent. It is the role of a samples. The sample 1 will result getting into the respondent 2. Say respondent 2 will result into the respondent 3. So information may be obtained from the large population. More information is need to be collected, and here per unit cost, if we consider, will be less. But the information is a perfect. Number of respondents not necessarily very high. But the perfect information is to be collected from a lower number of respondents. However, these field surveys have certain limitations. Because information is sought rather than in-depth analysis. And if the problem is not sorted out, then we have to visit again and again, more and more money and more time required to collect the information. So it is a case, it may take a lot of time before we conclude the or draw the particular inference. By interview method, respondent may be very cautious under field survey, and they may behave differently in a normal situation from the normal situation, and we may not able to get the correct information. So this is a very important area. When we are collecting information, we have to be very careful whether people will likely to get correct information or not, whether there will be change in the behavior. If your problem is very socially sensitive or a personally sensitive information, general problems or a general research which are related to the commerce area, there may not be too much deviation from the respondent's behavior. But in a case of social sciences, especially social problems, which are very sensitive, there is a lot of care need to be taken. So other than your questionnaire information, we also have to collect information from the observation method, from evidence collection method. Then only we can be very sure this our study, field studies, field surveys, right information being collected. Let us go to the second type of study called as a longitudinal studies. So first one is a cross-sectional study. Second is called as a longitudinal study. What is a longitudinal? We, so there is a word called as a longitude, altitudes and longitudes. So it is a straight line. Okay, longitude from the north pole to the south pole. 1 degree, 2 degree, 3 degree. These are the longitude. So going from one point to the last point using a one straight line. So what is this one straight line? In a respondents which we are collecting, cross sectional we are collecting from the different sections, and sample 1, sample 2, sample 3, sample 4, we are carrying out the mean and we are carrying out the standard deviations, whether it is a information fits into the bell-shaped curve or not. But there are certain cases where we want to collect the information from the same respondent, same person, same family. Uh, there are cases where the information is collected for generation together. Now, I don't remember those examples, but how the recently I have come across these longitudinal studies, like students who uh, went to one particular school and then how they behaved after 10 years, 15 years, 50 years, what are they doing it? So a continuous study of last 50 years, 60 years, 70 years, one organization is doing in USA. And there they are trying to develop the hypothesis. So when we collect the information from one respondent, one generation for a long period of time, then it is called as a longitudinal study. So it is based on the panel. We call it as a panel, selective members. And continuous interviews are taken, repeated measurements are taken, but variables are same. For example, I will give a very simple example. Say a television, TRP measurement. People, some families are asked which movie, which serial, episode, or opera they observed every week on particular channels, and that after every month the respondents this respondents are measured, their interviews are noted down for 1 year, and change in their habit of observing a particular channel, particular episode, particular say opera is observed for long period of time is called as a continuous interviews under longitudinal studies. Under social problem, the person who is drinking, person who is smoking, a treatment, counseling is provided for a 6 month, 9 month, 1 year. It is a example of a longitudinal study. Experiments are made on a same. Now, very simple example, which is used by the dietitian. So they give the diet to the one person for a 1 year in terms of reduction of weight or lose so that obesity can be reduced. So this type of study is basically called as a longitudinal studies. Number of variables which we collected under exploratory are hundreds. Whether relevant or not relevant, we come across dependent variable and independent variable. We reduce this number of variable under descriptive studies. But hundreds of variable, 50 of variable, we cannot use in the longitudinal study. Very few variable, limited variable are to be considered under longitudinal studies. What is the advantage of this longitudinal studies and or a panel data? Panel data, I can give you a simple example. What is a panel also? It is like a brainstorming. It is a group discussion. A number of people are called and we give them a problem and to tell them work out of this situation, how this problem can be sorted out. So it enabled to undertake detailed analysis of the variable selected. Okay. This panel are basically used in many organizations. For example, a test of say any particular cold drink, a test of say some wafers, whether the test is liked or not liked is studied by that panel. Whether it is a crispy or not, that wafer, whether product is explained or studied by that particular panel, number of people, group of people. So variable is selected. So when we are using scales of measurement, there is a one less chapter under research methodology called as a scales of measurement or a scaling techniques. So under scaling techniques, this one of the variable like taste, crispiness, sweetness is measured using a panel data. It helps in identification in characteristics of the people also. What type of people are there who behave in a particular fashion? And very comprehensive data can be collected using the panel data. However, these longitudinal studies or panels have certain limitations. One, panel are not representative samples. We select the people. These people may not be the true representation of the respondent. That is a major drawback. But we get important information about the one variable. Panel information collection. It is a time consuming process. It is a lengthy process, and usually a lot of incentives, lot of attraction need to be given to these panel members. We may give a gift in the beginning when we talk to the people. Yes, you please participate in this particular interview. People in the beginning they show interest, but afterwards they lose interest. Attraction also, we don't lure them. So there is a dropout of the panel members. Respondent go away. And if large number of respondent go away from this panel, the number of respondent remain at the end of year are very less. And then it is very difficult to make the inferences using this data. So this is a major drawback. Sometimes if we give them certain questionnaire and we tell them every week you please record your data, and they, as I told you, they lose interest, but they want some money or a gift. They fill up the wrong data, they report the wrong data, and hence our inference which we draw at the end of the session, at the end of the year, becomes wrong. So this is a major limitation of the longitudinal studies. So what we let us brief what we studied under exploratory design. We have problem in our hand. We studied with the help of a secondary data. We get enlighten ourselves in understanding the different variables. Use those same variables under descriptive study. We develop a questionnaire, structured questionnaire, descriptive design. Those are dependent variable and independent variable, limited variables which we are using it. And we collect the information. Whether these information can be used effectively, variable can be used effectively or not, we develop the models. We develop the models under suggestions. Suppose which factors are affecting the purchase decision at retail malls? Which variables affect the purchase decision at the e-commerce sites? What are the variables which affect the education of the girl child? Under this situation, we have identified certain dependent and independent variable, and from the information we use a statistical tool, use hypothesis, and we consider based on the sample information, we accept the hypothesis or reject the hypothesis using your chi-square test or t-test or different other statistical tests which are relevant to the data. However, whether this information is correct or not, the third stage, every researcher must use a design called as a causal design. So experimental design need to be conducted at the end. There are n number of variable, dependent and independent variable, which you have used in the second case, out of which those which are very prominent, identify those and use those dependent variable or independent variable on the third stage called as a causal design. What is this causal design? Causal design investigate two things: cause and effect relationship between two and more variables. So we are aware about two variable, one is a dependent variable and second is a independent variable. So independent variable is cause, is not affected by something else, while dependent variable is affected by cause, it is effect. So dependent variable is effect, independent variable is a cause. So cause and effect relationship between these two variables, or under multivariate analysis we called as a more variable, is explained by the causal design. Let us see what are the causal design. I'll give you examples also of these causal designs. These causal designs are divided into four categories: method of agreement, negative canon agreement, method of difference, and method of concomitant variation. Okay. What is this these four things? I'll explain in a few minutes. What is a method of agreement? Method of agreement means, suppose we identified certain variable A, B, C, D, and we observe that these A, B, C, D variables have a effect on certain issue. Then we go, and same variables also observed in another situation, then we call A, B, C, D are the dependent, are the causes for the particular effect. Example I'll give you. For example, say sales and advertisement. Okay, sales is the effect. Let us say advertising is one variable, promotion is another variable, selling salesperson is another variable, telemarketing is another variable. Four variables. If we observe A, B, C, D are showing the similar kind of effect on the sale in any situation, then this is called as a method of agreement. This is called as a method of agreement, causal design. While it is a negative canon of agreement, we put some say a dispatch, delivery, and the sales. okay, delivery and the sales, production and the sales, and we go on changing. If we go on changing these variables which uh, we consider as an effect, but there is a no change in the sales, even if we change certain variables which are actually dependent independent variable, which are not having a making any effect on the sales, then it is called as a negative canon of agreement. Negative canon of agreement. The variables which are not having a effect are called as a negative canon of agreement. Why do we require this one? So first and second, when we start identifying certain variables, we can remove these variables for our experimental designs. We should not use those variables which are having effect on something else. So we are trying to remove independent variables which are have no value or effect in the experiment. That's why we are using these kind of designs. Okay. Causal designs are further divided into two cases. One is called as a causal inference studies. One is a cause and from which inference is drawn, hence is called as a causal inference studies. This is divided into two categories. One is called as a natural experiment and second is called as a controlled experiments. As an academic level, we may not be using this type of designs, but at least we should use one or two variables for our studies under this experimental design. So I'm just touching this type of design, causal inference studies. What is a natural experiment? A natural experiment, here there is no intervention of the investigator except to the extent of required measurement. We are just going to measure. So natural experiment is carried out in the market and the results are measured. I'll give you the example of this natural experiment and how it is being carried out. Here I'm repeating a particular variable being taken and implemented in the field and results are measured. Okay, results are measured. They are divided into three categories: time series and trend designs, cross-sectional designs, and combination of the two. Let us see one by one with an example. Time series. First is a time series means what? We carry out a experiment and we measure the response. For example, I'll give an example to understand this causal design. Suppose we find productivity of the salesperson is not very high. So we send this salesperson for the training. So even in the case of HR, we are interested in development of the training program. and we are interested whether a particular training program is effective or not. And people are say before sending training for the training program, we need to measure their productivity. Okay. So under one short case study, X is an experiment conducted and observation is made after the experiment carried out. For example, say a person sent for the training and the sales productivity, say his sales is 10 lakh rupees per month, is measured. But in this case, we do not know whether this particular experiment, whether this training has really made a good effect on the productivity or not. Hence, we go to the point number 2, that is, we carry out the observation of this particular salesperson before he sent for the training. And after the training, again his sales productivity is measured. You can extrapolate this kind of experiment to any situation. Suppose Mr. Anil is sent for a training, and before training, say in the month of April, his sales was a 7 lakh rupees a month. He was sent in for the training in the month of May and June. O2 is a June. Sales of the June is observed, and that figure of the Anil sale is say 8 lakh rupees. So O1 is a 7 lakh and O2 is a 8 lakh. So O2 minus O1, 8 minus 7 is equal to 1 lakh rupees. So what we can positively say, a training has resulted in increasing the sales of the particular person, Mr. Anil. How much increase? By 1. Okay. Then we may find, say, sir, in the month of April, it was a month of April, season, there was no season as such, was very less. March was ending, so people do not purchase the product, the things in the month of April. So the sales was very low, 7. And as say inventory at the dealer organization goes on decreasing, they have given the orders, more orders in the month of June. So they have increased by 1 lakh rupees. So that argument is also likely to be true. So to overcome this difficulty, some trends over a period before the experiment, some observation being carried out so that any historical effects are there that can be nullified. Say for February, March, April, O1, O2, O3 observations are made. Anil is sent for the training in the month of May. X is the training. Then June, July, August. Again, experiment was conducted, say calculations, observations made. Then here we will calculate O1 plus O2 plus O3 divided by 3. O4 plus O5 plus O6 divided by 3. Now, in this case, if after the experiment figure is more than the O1 plus O2 plus O3, then it is considered as a effective. Let us, for example, the figure comes out to be say 7.60, comes out to be 7.60, and before the training the figure was say average 7, it was 7. Then 7.6 minus 7, whatever the historical or the natural variables which we are not aware, which have affected directly, indirectly to the Anil's productivity, are nullified. And what was the nullified? See, O1 minus O2 minus O1 was 8 minus 1. That was 1. And here 7.6 minus 7 is zero point 0.6. So 1 minus zero point 0.6 is 0.40. So what was a natural undue not seen effect on the cell is a zero point 0.6, but a direct effect of training is zero point 0.6 and natural effect was zero point 0.4. So effectiveness of the training before, after, without a control group is considered as a zero point 0.6. This is called as a type of time series and trained design. Let us see how this second type of design, cross-sectional design, different from your time series. So under a time series data, we have taken only one group, one person, and we have carried out the observation before the experiment and after the experiment. But whether the same training is effective or not in different situations, that effectiveness of training will be calculated using a cross-sectional design. So effect of different levels of treatment are measured as a several groups, maybe different cities, different areas, different people, and calculations are being measured is called as a cross-sectional design. So more number of groups or respondents are being taken under cross-sectional. So it is a more effective than a time series data. It is called as a cross-sectional design. Look at the here. Say there are Anil is sent for training, observation O1. Sunil sent for training, observation true. Then Ketki is sent for training, observation 3. And Mitali is sent for training, observation number 4. Okay, now same experiment we will do carry out. Observation, we make observation before the experiment in all the cases x1, x2 for Anil, Sunil, Ketki, and Mital. Okay, and then we measure for all 4 people, all 4 cities, say O3 minus O1 for Anil, O4 minus O2 for Sunil, and so on. Suppose O3 minus O1 is equal to 1. O4 minus O2 is equal to also say 1.1. O and for 3 is also 1.15. Fourth person is also 1.05. Then what you will consider? Average. Yes, this particular training has definitely have effect on the people, for people in the similar fashion. In the similar fashion. Because four people are used, four respondents are used. I'll give another example. Say we are carrying out a sales promotion campaign in say Maharashtra and we measure the sales O1 and O3. We same promotion campaign is also calculated used in the Gujarat, Karnataka, all over India. It is a business organization they carry out for all over, say 4 states, 6 states, etc. And then we calculate the effect. If say in a case of Maharashtra, O3 minus O1 say is equal to 1. For Gujarat, O3 minus O4 minus O2 is equal to say zero point 0.2. For some other state, it is zero point 0.4. For fourth state, it is 1.5. So when we make an observation for a cross-section studies for Maharashtra, for Gujarat, or Karnataka, etc., we may find in certain areas, particular experiment is more effective than the other state. So in some state, the particular sales promotion is not effectively used or accepted by the people of that particular state. While Maharashtra and Gujarat or Maharashtra and Karnataka have accepted that particular sale promotion effectively. So Maharashtra and Gujarat may require a different kind of a treatment, different kind of a sales promotion scheme to increase the sales. We are using here two variable, dependent variable. Sales promotion is a independent variable and sales is a independent variable. So we are trying to identify which factors our main objective. That particular problem need to be solved in a better way. Let us take an example in a case of social problem, counseling. A particular person is sent for a counseling and his behavior is measured, whether he is found to be involved in certain activity or not. If a person is sent for the sent earlier he was not engaged in the activities at say at home, and when he is sent for the counseling he is found to be engaged in the activities. For longitudinal, for more number of time, when he is sent for the counseling, more number of counseling, and he is found to be more engaged in the activities, he is found to be more happy, then we can say counseling is a cause for the happiness, of the person, engagement of the person. So such kind of a cause and effect relationship can be used under this time series and causal inferences studies. Under causal design, a natural experiment, there is also control experiment. What is a control experiment? Control experiment in which we divide the, the groups respondent into two categories. One we call it as a non-control group and another is called as a control group. Non-control group means they are doing the same thing, whatever they are not subjected to the training. Okay, like like I give an example of a salespeople. Suppose there are 20 people, 10 people are sent for a training, and 10 people are doing the sales, and they are not sent for the training. So people who are sent for the training are is called as a control, and people who are not sent is under the natural experiment. Okay, natural, they are doing the sale, sent for the training, and their observation being measured. Similarly, people who are smoking, okay, they are sent for the counseling and they are also given a treatment. While some people are only given a counseling and some treatment, medicinal treatment is not given. So those who are given a treatment, they are considered as a controlled experiment. So they are divided into certain categories. Let us see what are those categories. After only with a control group. So only one treatment is given and both the experimental and control groups are measured. Okay. So treatment similar like person sent for the sale, not sent for the training, and one person not sent for the training. Suppose Anil is not sent for the training. Observation before the say in the month of April is 7 lakh, and in the month of June it is 7.5 lakh. So it is a natural experiment. 7.5 minus 7.5 is the change. Why that change? Is a natural change of the sales. Sunil sent for training. Okay, his sale was a say 7 lakh rupees, and his sales becomes 8 lakh rupees. His sent is a controlled. Difference is 1 lakh. So what is the real effect of the training is 1 minus 0.5, it is a 0.5. It is a zero point 0.5. If the change is only 0.5 in case of Sunil, so 0.5 minus Anil's 0.5 is 0. If we observe there is no change of the sales because of the training, then it is the training was not effective. This is called as a controlled experiment after only with a control group. Look at this case example which I gave you. Here again, before and after observations are made. So not only a natural phenomena before and after is considered, or for the period is considered. So O1, O2 minus O1 is considered, and O4 minus O3 is considered, and then the difference is subtracted from each other. If there is a significant difference, then we call it as a that particular variable or particular training is effective. Okay, friends, we come to the coming to the conclusion, your good research design. Can your research design answer the questions? Can we make a proper hypothesis? And proper hypothesis can be tested using the formulated questions. Can we identify independent and dependent variable? And this has to be done with the help of random sampling. So here I will summarize here. When you are developing your synopsis, first introduction, you may write statement of the problem, objectives of the problem, and then you write third point is a research design, and under research design, first point explain what is your exploratory design. How are you going to get information about the problem, various aspects of the problem using exploratory design. There you can mention it will be done by using secondary data, and secondary data will be studied using articles, internet, dissertation, books, etc. At the end of this, you must able to write down n number of variables which may be related to your, which must be, not may, must be related to your topic. Second, descriptive design. These are the demographic variable, these are the economic variable, these are the dependent variable, and these are the independent variable, which I will be, as a researcher, will be studying under the descriptive. We will be collecting information about the dependent variable and independent variable using certain tools and techniques. Third, if possible, my suggestion, if possible, select one or two variables, one dependent variable, one independent variable, and then find out, can I do this kind of experiment in my research area? Please do it, and then carry out the calculations and give those calculations under a causal designs. Give sufficient thought for development of research design, and always read again and again when you are going to from exploratory to research descriptive design and to the causal design. Our aim is to solve a problem. Descriptive design will not solve your problem, but causal design will give you best possible design solution to your topic. This solution, you can use it for the society, for our own organization, or a nation as a whole. So definitely, I expect such kind of a contribution from the researcher in terms of research design, which will help the student to academician and business organization to make better and better research. So thank you very much for giving me opportunity to express my thought about research design. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. It was indeed a very excellent session where we got a thorough knowledge of what research design is and what are the features, types, of research designs and the types of studies that we can undertake with by having a good research design. I hope all the participants will definitely uh, enjoy must have definitely enjoyed the session today and gained enough knowledge on research design. What I feel is a good research design helps the researcher to complete the objectives of the study in a given time and facilitates the study in a given the best solution for the research problems. So on behalf of Anjuman Degree College and on behalf of all the participants, I heartily thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. You are welcome.
So, dear participants, tomorrow we shall have the session at the same time at 12 o'clock. We have an exciting session tomorrow. So, see you all tomorrow at 12. Thank you. Have a good day.